Hello, I'm Commissioner Robert Gelder, and welcome to this episode of Commissioner's Corner. Today we're going to be talking about small business development. We have a great lineup of guests, including Calvin Goings of the Small Business Administration, Senator Christine Rolfes from Washington State, our own 23rd Legislative District, along with Stuart Walton of Washington Cash, and two Washington Cash graduates, Lishu Rodriguez and Carrie Lou McLeod. So stay tuned, you'll learn a lot. Welcome back. Joining me now is Calvin Goings, who's the Assistant Associate Administrator for the Small Business Administration. Calvin, thank you so much for taking time today to be a part of the program. For the SBA, or Small Business Administration, what is its mission and how does it support small businesses?
Well, first of all, Commissioner, thank you for the opportunity to be on your show today.
My pleasure.
You know, we really appreciate the local leadership that you've shown on behalf of small businesses here in Kitsap County, and really look forward to building that partnership in the future. The Small Business Administration, the U.S. Small Business Administration, our core focus is to help small businesses start, grow, and succeed. And we do that by focusing on a couple key areas, what we affectionately call the 3 C's, access to capital, access to contracts, and access to counseling. And through a wide array of partners here in Kitsap County as well, we're really able to help small businesses thrive. You know, it's important to note that about half of all working Americans today work for a small business. And over the past 15 years, 2/3 of all new net jobs have been in small business. So as small business goes, as goes the economy. And everything that we can do help businesses in Paulsbo, in Bainbridge Island, and in Bremerton, that's what we're here for. And it's exciting to be here with you today and talk about some of those programs.
Well, wonderful. Now, I'm sure you've seen a lot in the past couple of years with the economic dip, and I'll call it a dip, but what have you really seen as really the major trends, and what are you seeing, where are we at now?
Right. Well, it's fair to say, you know, we've had a very challenging economic situation. You know, the worst economy since the Great Depression. And the President has made it his clear focus to help small businesses get through these tough times. You know, as challenging as things are today, I think sometimes we forget about how bad things were, or frankly, how much worse things could have been. You know, back in February of '09, if your viewers will think back then, you know, our economy was in a free fall. We were losing 700,000 jobs a month in the U.S., and the credit market was completely frozen. Thanks to several laws that were signed into law by the President, the Recovery Act, the Small Business Jobs Act, we at SBA have received some new tools to help support small businesses, including the ability to raise our government guarantees on our loans so that banks and credit unions would be more likely to lend, as well as eliminating many of the fees on our loans so that borrowers could keep more money in their back pocket. The good news is, Commissioner, because of that 1-2 punch nationally, we've seen our loan volumes here in the state of Washington go up by 90%. Here in Kitsap County alone, we've made over 100 loans worth about $30 million. So that's money that's working right here in Kitsap County, you know, help businesses keep their doors open, keep their shelves stocked, and keep their employees paid.
So you talk about guaranteeing loans. How does that really work? What's the role that the SBA plays? And if you could also talk a little bit about how do people get more information about the programs you offer?
Absolutely. So back to those 3 C's, capital, contracts, counseling. So with capital, to your question, you know, we have a great network of local lenders, banks, credit unions, and we act as a guarantor, as an insurance policy, if you will. So the loan comes from your local credit union or bank, and the SBA guarantees that loan. So if something, heaven forbid, happens to that small business, we make the financial institution whole to a certain amount. Really what that does is it encourages credit unions and banks to make those loans, knowing that Uncle Sam has their back, so to speak. In the contracting arena, you know, as folks know here in Kitsap County, Uncle Sam buys a lot of stuff each year, from Boeing airplanes to paper clips and everything in between, and a few destroyers and submarines as well. We at the SBA are tasked with ensuring that at least a quarter of all of those purchases go to small businesses, so that it's businesses in Paulsville that have a chance to compete for and win some of those contracts. And in the third C, counseling, we offer a series of wraparound services. In fact, we have a small business development center here in Kitsap County that can help small businesses translate a great idea into a written plan, or if they have a product or service that they're thinking about exporting, open those doors to new markets. So if a small business owner wants to take that next step, or someone's always had an idea of forming their own small business, go to sba.gov. It's a great interactive site, or call our local Small Business Development Center here in Kitsap County.
Well, great, thank you. We've also had the opportunity to co-host a White House Business Council roundtable recently, and it was a great complement of businesses, and it talked about really access to capital. What do you see as a partnership? How does the SBA complement or coexist with local or state programs?
Right. You know, for small businesses and for many, the economy is still challenging. Now, as difficult as it's been, you know, it's important to also note that we've now had 24 months in a row of solid economic growth, 3.9 million new jobs. It's not enough, and it's not fast enough. So how we at the SBA can use our tools and resources, working with Kitsap County local governments to really get the word out about the information that we have and the programs we have access to. And that's why the White House Business Council roundtables that you were kind enough to host have been so important, because the more information that we can share with local small businesses, I mean, as you know, small business owners are some of the most resilient and dedicated people you will ever meet. But they're busy, especially if they're a 1 or 2 person shop. They don't have time to go through the internet and look over and over, or to try to get away from their business for hours on end. So how we can bring information to them in their communities in a useful format, you know, that's why we really appreciate this relationship and your leadership.
Great, well, thank you. What do you believe is the biggest barrier to small business success?
The National Federation of Independent Business does a survey every year of their membership, and the #1 issue to small business owners since 1986 has been health care. And so there are some important new tools that are out there that small business owners watching this program should really take advantage of. You know, under the Affordable Care Act, if you have a small business with 25 or fewer employees, which is 95% of all small businesses across the nation and here in Kitsap County, you can receive up to a 35% tax credit to cover the cost of those health care benefits. In 18 months, that tax credit will go up to 50%. So small business owners really should arm themselves with information by going to healthcare.gov to learn about those resources that could be available to them. Another exciting program that we'll be rolling out here in the next 18 months is a state-based purchasing exchange. So instead of trying to buy health care for your 1 or 2 employees on your own, you'll be able to pool together statewide and get that additional purchasing power and spread those risks across a larger population. So health care, but there's some important new tools and some benefits coming their way.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for being part of the program today and bringing this information to our community locally. We appreciate the support and everything that you do for small businesses.
Absolutely, and thank you for your leadership.
My pleasure. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back. Joining me now is Christine Rolfes, State Senator for the 23rd Legislative District. Christine, thank you very much for being part of the program today. Now, we're talking about small business development, and I wanted to get your perspective as a state senator as to how the state supports small business development. So can you tell us in your own words, you know, what is the role of the state and state legislature in terms of supporting small businesses?
I would say that the major goal or the major role of the legislature in this state is to help create and foster that sense of entrepreneurship that the state is famous for. So whether we're talking about policies or laws or tax structure, the goal is to help small businesses start up and thrive so they can become the next Boeing, the next Starbucks, the next Microsoft.
So how does your work in the legislature interplay with what's happening on the national scene?
I would say at the state level, we're focused on how the state can be the most competitive. How can we position ourselves to beat the other states at the game of creating small businesses that grow into big businesses? So our focus really at the state level is more along the lines of focusing on Main Street and helping people start businesses. We'll hear a little bit later in this program, I think, about some of the entrepreneurial programs that the state has fostered. One of the goals, for example, is a focus on Main Street and helping people who may have lost their jobs in this recession get back on their feet. A program that we call self-employment assistance. So as people lose their jobs, especially people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who have a lot of experience, they're allowed to continue to collect unemployment while they're starting their own business, hanging up their own shingle, getting their own hobby turned into a business that can support their family. And those are the kind of programs that the state legislature looks at. How can we help people get back on their feet and get back to work, starting something that they're passionately interested in.
Great. Now, as I understand it, one of your legislative priorities is really to work to attract and retain new jobs to our region. What state legislation has been created really that will support that effort?
I think some of the biggest efforts that the state legislature has been focused on over the last couple of years has been really about getting manufacturing jobs into this state. We have a very strong export sector, and we have a vibrant sector of small businesses. So getting manufacturing back here and strengthening our manufacturing base. And one of the biggest successes that this state has had over the last year is having Boeing's decision to locate the new 737 MAX in this state. And that will not just create direct jobs assembling a new airplane, but it also leads to suppliers locating here and suppliers selling more in this state, as well as the trickle down that impact that has on the communities that the suppliers are located in. So the state's main goal there is to make sure we have a qualified and experienced workforce that attracts manufacturers here. And we do that through strengthening our community and technical colleges and making sure that our public schools have really strong science, technology, engineering, and math programs. Those are the kinds of things that national employers look for. And then at the same time, we're working at the smaller level, at the Main Street level, helping people to start their own business and thrive here.
So our viewers of today's program, if they were a local small business, what would be your advice so that they could maybe potentially compete for state or other contracts?
The state small business assistance program is different than the program that the federal government has. And even in the way that we define small business, the state defines a small business as 50 employees or less, or $7 million in revenue or less. And the federal government has its own definitions. We just last year in the legislature passed a directive to all state agencies to increase their small business contracting. We consolidated our procurement into one state agency and have made it easier for small businesses, to get the information on how to make those bids. And we've also required the agencies to report back to the legislature on how well that's going, so we can actually track how small businesses in our state are competing for those kinds of contracts.
So how would you say, what's your sense of how Washington State is stacking up against other states around the country in terms of access to capital and that type of thing?
Things like that. We just were ranked by Forbes magazine, which is one of the premier business magazines in the country, as number 7 in the country in terms of places to do business, ranked on a variety of things, workforce, cost of labor, cost of energy, tax structure, all of that. We're consistently in the top 10, and last year we were 7. So I feel very confident that we're competitive.
Great. So if there is any one last message that you would want to get out to our viewers about how they themselves can support small businesses, how our local government or state government can support it, what would that be?
Talk to your elected officials and let us know. Let us know how we can help.
Okay, great. Well, Christine, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of the program. We very much appreciate it, and stay tuned for more. Welcome back. Joining me now is Stuart Walton, who is the Kitsap Program Manager and Business Specialist for Washington CASH. And CASH stands for Community Alliance for Self-Help. Now, Stuart, can you tell me how Washington CASH started?
Thank you very much, Rob, for including us in this program. Washington Cash actually started in 1996 by a person who had gone to Bangladesh by the name of Peter Rose and had seen what was called the microcredit lending opportunities that were being created by Muhammad Yunus. Brought this back to the United States and thought, well, gee, why don't we try that here in the state of Washington, in Seattle? And so from there, we have continued to grow. We started out in Seattle. In 2000, we came to Kitsap County. We are now in 5 different languages and 5 different locations within the Puget Sound Basin.
That's fantastic. So how is Washington Cash different from ordinary lenders? What sets you and your graduates apart?
So what really makes us different or unique is that we know through experience and training that it takes about 18 months for business to really sort of get up and get going. So we have learned to be with our clients for this period of time. And it's through a combination of what we call our 8-week professionally taught business training classes using best practices for adult entrepreneurial learning methods combined with one-on-one business counseling, access to microloans from $1,000 up to $35,000, and business counseling, one-on-ones, advanced workshops, opportunity to sell in our venture store over in Seattle.
Wow, that's fantastic. What skills do you believe someone needs to be successful as a small business owner in Kitsap?
I've had this question asked to me before, and so I go back to what I call what is really an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur is somebody who's got a great attitude. They have got some prior business experience. They've got an incredible work ethic. And that is all centered around seeking opportunity out in the marketplace and then figuring out how to take advantage of it.
So how do interested people in the community connect with Washington Cash?
Okay, we actually are partnering with probably about 25 other local organizations, nonprofits and otherwise, including local veteran administration people. And through word of mouth, through the newspaper, through working with what we call WorkSource, and they are all out there thinking about how can we make a better community, seeing Washington Cash as being one of the avenues to make that happen.
So what would you say makes small businesses in Kitsap County unique?
Okay, when you stop to think about what does Kitsap County really have, we're surrounded by water. On all but 3 sides, we're semi-rural, but yet we're living close to one of the largest metropolitan areas in the world. In fact, it's probably one of the major export areas of the whole United States. So we have this situation where a great quality of life, great vacation opportunities, close to this major metropolitan area, and getting to business to figure out how to take advantage of both of those.
Wonderful. Well, Stuart, thank you very much for being part of the program today, and thank you for everything that you and Washington Cash do for our community and supporting small business owners. So thank you very much, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back. Joining me now are 2 graduates of Washington Cash. With me is Lishu Rodriguez, co-founder of L.LLC, and Carly McLeod, who is with Fat Cat Mustard. So thank you so much for joining me on the program today. Could you tell me a little bit about how you first heard about Washington Cash and what made you want to participate?
Did you want to go first, Alicia?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I first heard about Washington Cash through our business advisor, Social Enterprise Associates. What attracted me to Washington Cash was all the wonderful resources it provides to young entrepreneurs like me.
Great. How about you, Carly?
I actually heard about it through multiple locations. I actually saw flyers, but I really heard more about it when I was at WorkSource for a little while during one of my job searches. And then I decided to start a business, and when I felt a little more strong with it, I contacted them. And what attracted me to them was the micro-lending process, because I knew I would need some help. And also, when I actually got in the program, it became even more attractive with all the resources I didn't even realize that they had. So.
Well, Lishu, what does your business do?
Our business we are a design firm specializing in mindful home furnishings handcrafted by local and global artisans.
Great. And Carly, how about you?
I specialize in making gourmet, natural, sweet hot mustards, and every batch is handmade.
Fantastic. So how are your businesses doing? And what have you done to set your businesses apart? Lishu?
Our business currently is at a startup phase and slowly growing. What we've done to set ourselves apart is we've established our business with a mindful and holistic approach to ensure that our business not only generates profit but also adds value to our society and our environment. So every LDOT products is made out of natural materials, sustainable materials, while nurturing craft traditions, providing skill development and employment opportunities to local and global artisans. We're also certified as a beneficial corporation, meaning that we use the power of business to help solve our social and environmental problems. And this is ingrained in the mission of our company as well as the legal footprint or legal blueprint of our company.
Great. How about you, Carly? How's your business doing, and how did you? What have you done to set your business apart?
Well, we actually have been doing very well. We've gotten into more local ventures, different places. We've done local farmers markets as well. We've been very successful. We've actually moved up into, instead of renting kitchen time, which is how I originally started, we have our own production facility in Paulsbo now.
Oh, great.
Which actually is the benefit of cash. I got a microloan through them to get that started.
Oh, fantastic.
So, and what we do to set our business apart is we offer gourmet, natural products. We don't put any preservatives, dyes, binders, anything like that in our products, and everything is handmade, so there's a lot of attention to detail and quality, and you know you're getting something local, and you know, our heart is in it. So
Wonderful.
it very much appeals to other people, and we just have the best tasting mustard around.
Nothing wrong with a plug. When did you graduate from Washington Cash?
I graduated about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yes,
So in 2010 timeframe?
I believe so.
Okay. How about you, Carly?
Actually, about 2010 was when I graduated from the 8-week program, and then
Okay.
I've been doing the peer support groups.
Wonderful. So what was the most helpful for you in starting your businesses?
What was most helpful is really spending the time to determine what kind of business we wanted to develop and identifying what our strengths and skills were. The support of friends and family has been priceless, you know, throughout, and programs like Washington Cash has been so important to us to help develop our business acumen.
Okay. Carly, how about you?
Well, not only just the support from having, because I come from, you know, a lot of people that don't know much about business, and so it's been nice to be able to go somewhere and actually speak to people who have experience in marketing, and to be able to show my ideas to them and get, you know, good, you know, constructive criticism about it and critique that I may not get from some of my family members. And so that's been really beneficial. Also the microloan, because it helped me get my production facility, and the IDA savings account that I've been working on to save up for some bigger equipment.
So IDA savings account, what is that?
Individual development account, and basically it's a special savings account. For every dollar that I put into this account, they match me with $2 from the Paul G. Allen Foundation.
Oh, fantastic program.
And I got into that because of Washington Cash. They walked me through that. So,
Fantastic.
and we've been currently saving in it. So.
Great. So what advice would you give one of the viewers today if they were looking to start a small business? Alicia?
I would say to identify a need in the market and develop a business that would fill that need. Also really spend the time to identify what is it that you really want to do and what kind of business you want to establish, because I really believe that a mission-driven business is better suited to help you develop the patience and diligence that is required in starting a business. and always seek out help. We live in a wonderful country that does have resources like Washington Cash to help you through it. So seek help. That's what I would recommend.
Carly, how about you?
I would say pursue something that you're passionate about, because you're going to be doing it a lot. You're going to be putting a lot of hours into it, and so you definitely want to be doing something that you love and that you feel very strongly about. And as Leishu said, ask for help, because that's one of the big things that when I first started is I didn't always ask for help. And now with going to Cash, I've learned that I should ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, and in doing that, I'm going to be able to help myself and later on be able to help other people. So.
Great. Well, thank you both for being part of our program today. I think you are representative of really the backbone of our local economy. I mean, it's your drive, passion, and inspiration that are really going to lead to new businesses and opportunities in our community, and you're an inspiration to everybody watching today. So thank you so much. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Commissioner's Corner. I hope you learned a lot. At the end of the program, you'll see a list of websites if you want to learn some more. But most importantly, I want you to realize that our economy is based on the development of small businesses. They are the backbone of what we can do, and they will be the start of a resurgence in our economy. So if you have an idea, if you have a passion that you want to pursue, get involved, pursue it, and realize there are resources out in our community to support you. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.